Welcome back to the Reboot Show. I'm your host, Sally A. Illingworth, and I'm excited to be here today for our 7th segment of the Diff Daily Download series, which is powered by Big Mouth. Today, I'm joined by our resident technology panelists, Luke Stowe and Kelly Hutchinson from Digital Innovation Futures. Before we get started, I'd like to hand over to Luke to do our Acknowledgement of Country.
Yeah, thanks, Sally. On behalf of all of us appearing live today from Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, we would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional owners on the land in which we all meet today. We respectfully recognise elders past, present and emerging.
Thanks, Luke. As always, if you're coming in live, drop a 1 below. If you're coming in on the replay, drop a 2 below. And as always, let us know where you're coming in from. It's incredible to see how these platforms bring us all together. So to kick us off, Kelly, what were the highlights from the Diff 2021 festival today?
Well, you can see that spring has sprung. I'm wearing florals. Of course, they're red because they've got to be. And, you know, we started out today with just one of my favorite topics, which is looking at digital inclusion and digital innovation across our public library sector. And it was just as I thought it would be. There are such amazing pockets of innovation that are happening. And like one of these ones whereby looking at connectivity, Wi-Fi, and that libraries are very much a place whereby people come to get access to Wi-Fi for students or people looking for jobs and the like. And they've actually got a Wi-Fi cycle. I don't know how I'm going to say that properly.
What's that?
So basically, literally, somebody sits on a bike, it's a tricycle, and they wheel and it builds the electricity to be able to get the Wi-Fi signal.
Ooh.
I mean, just, you know, it's like some old school with new school type of things. And yeah, just really, really interesting and creative ways. I mean, that people are looking at connectivity. It was the Yarra libraries from the inner city Melbourne looking at the housing tower blocks and how do we help people have access to the right tools and be part of the digital economy. So yeah, it was really, really great to hear what's happening out there in the community and how people are supporting each other.
Yeah, I think connectivity is a big part of the conversation. Sorry, Luke, go for it.
No, I was just going to say exactly that. I think that connectivity is really a great part of our society. You know, libraries play such a great role. I know that when we haven't been in restrictions, even the local libraries here have been really busy. And the City of Melbourne Library is fantastic. We've got a couple of great libraries in Melbourne and in regional Victoria as well. And they really are centres for the community. And you know, so important that we continue to have that access, you know, well beyond that after we get out of this COVID restrictions we're in.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things about community engagement and outreach. They were some of the stories that were shared today about out in City of Melton. There's Western Base, which has a great thing called the STEAM Squad. So I had to remember what it was, the STEM Squad. So they're actually, you know, young people coming together and using digital tools to be able to, you know, give them opportunities where maybe they didn't see that there was those pathways for them. And the outcomes that are being delivered through people participating in programs like Digital Springboard, which is a partnership between Info Exchange and Google, where it's really helping people to, you know, if you've been working, there was somebody talking about being a builder their whole life and their body just worn out. You know, but they've got such knowledge. But the whole idea of going out and working out how to apply for a job at Bunnings when the whole lot is online. Yeah. But by building confidence, by getting them to understand how to get the CV that's needed now and how to jump through the various, you know, hurdles with somebody there supporting them. And, you know, he's now working at Bunnings and having a great new next phase of his life and taking all the knowledge that he's gained into a new space. And that was because the whole future of work is facilitated through platforms. And so, you know, it's very important to have these types of outreach programs.
I'm interested in sorry guys, if I can backtrack for a moment, I'm interested in digitization of libraries. Does anyone have any insight on what does that actually look like the digitization journey for a library? Because I personally love picking up a hard book and reading paper and writing on paper. But what does that look like for libraries in the future? Because it's actually an important part of the conversation because there's such huge infrastructure in libraries and so much resource, if you like, written material. How is that going to change in the future?
Well, you know, it's an area. Sorry, I'm going to jump in there. It's an area that's thought of, and that we see a lot of transition. But people still do love books and want to borrow a book And so you're having physical buses going out and doing library drop-offs and pickups at the moment during COVID lockdown. And people are still engaging with their libraries, and their librarians are, still working in making sure that those. But then, of course, there are the digital collections where maybe smaller libraries or regional who maybe don't have the physical space for the collections. It's also different ways of accessing that. But there's a whole area called GLAM, Galleries, Libraries, Archives and Museums. So it's an area by which there's always, archives are a phenomenal innovator as far as digitizing collections. I don't know if anybody is old enough to remember microfiche at university, whereby, again, in innovation around capturing the information around newspapers and putting them in a way to be able to shrink that down and then put it into like a tiny little microfilm, that then you had these viewers that you'd sit over the top of and go like this. You'd see them in some movies and stuff. So there's always evolution with new technologies, but it always still comes back to classifications, the Dewey Decimal System. Those things and those principles are still there. Those basics are still there. And so, it's just a continuum of knowledge being shared and being repackaged and accessible in different ways, and about personal choice. So somebody who prefers to read a book. I can't read books. I can only read digital. It doesn't work with my brain. So yeah, anyway, Luke, you had some thoughts about the digitization.
No, mine was heading down the same path, and I think it's really quite an exciting sort of prospect that, when you think about the amount of books and transcripts and Kelly was just saying microfiche, etc., that are in archives, that are in libraries around the country, and particularly in Victoria. Digitizing those is really quite important for the community now that we're in, this circumstance we're in. So, the future of libraries is sort of this mix between a place you can go and a place where you can still get resources online and digitally. I can remember as a kid, my mum and dad taking me to the library in country Victoria, and a lady in there reading stories to kids. And, you'd all sort of get around and sit on the floor and listen to the story being read. And it was one of my fondest sort of memories of a library. After that, I used to get told to shh every time I went in one because I was quite boisterous and loud, to let you both know. But basically what I'm saying is...
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, there you go. But what I guess I'm saying is I think that this really evolving role of libraries in our lives is going to be quite interesting and quite integral, for all of us in the community, particularly as we start to deal with people with, accessibility issues.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing, surely in libraries, if we haven't yet, and, I haven't been to a library for quite some time. I couldn't remember the last time I went to one. But, have we seen yet in libraries in Melbourne at least, or do you think we will, like digital interactive elements, like when you go to a shopping centre and they've got the digital interactive directory? Have we started to see that sort of technology in those sorts of
absolutely systems? Digital signage, there's I'm just looking at a great we'll put it in the link there, Libraries Change Lives, which is an initiative around telling that story about there are play groups and there are galleries and there are clubs that are happening through libraries. And, one of them today from Yarra Plenty Library, I think it was, talking about the robotics clubs, and that they're really keen about the M of the STEM, so the mathematics. And so you've got all of these types of activities, and they've got digital libraries, meaning science and technology. You can borrow a kit to take home and program a robot, right? And there's really interesting ways that, that they're engaging with coding clubs. And it's also that, yes, there's the different age life stages that I think is interesting, right? So you went as a child with your family, and my brother's online at the moment, and he lives in disability care. And once he gets a chance to get to the library again, he's going to be very happy because he loves books, right? Except we have to tell him that he can't have them all. You can borrow and swap them, and he's got his own very good library. And so, hi, Stewie. But the idea that, it's all the different community building and engagement that people can take into it, from which different area they come from, whichever background they have, and they really are a great way to get an understanding of technology, and a lot of that support for older Australians, like I mentioned before about the Digital Springboard program. But really it's just about, they are essential services that are really really making a difference in, which is what the Diff's all about, making a difference through technology, and that they're totally living that.
I remember saying once that as someone had told me, which is libraries are built on relationships, not transactions. And I think that's true. They're local community focused, and usually it's somewhere where people can go to really, connect with the rest of the world, borrow a book, escape the day-to-day grind, and do something that's just for them. And long may they continue in this digital world.
Yeah, indeed.
And diversity and inclusion more broadly, has always been important. But I've certainly noticed, over the last sort of 12 to 18 months in particular, as a consequence of sort of the challenges that have been thrust upon businesses and citizens in general, people in general, diversity and inclusion, particularly in a digital setting or in digital settings, has really started to surface to the top of a lot of conversations, including business conversations. And I know that within the Diff 2021 festival, Kelly, that digital diversity and inclusion, if you like, digital inclusion is one of sort of the key pillars or themes of the festival. How have you noticed people engaging with and responding to that theme? Did you have that theme last year, or is it new for the festival?
Yeah, it's sort of been one of my the pillars that we've had since I came and since we started the festival. And it really is, yes, there's the tech side, but there's also the corporates and business companies wanting to contribute and know that there's a role for technology to address problems. And that's sort of the space I came from in community development and international development. And I've been really excited to see what a vibrant section. I talked last night about the startup sector being a really supportive and paying it forward. One of my favorite groups is Random Hacks of Kindness. So RHOK, RHOK. Sorry, who's doglets out there? I can hear a dog not very happy.
I was just trying to put myself on mute. I can assure you I'm not teasing any dogs.
I got to day 7 with no dogs, pets, or anything. So Random Hacks of Kindness have been running for a number of years, and they are global, but then they've got local chapters. And it's an opportunity for developers to come and volunteer their time and their skills to look at solutions. And so they run a summer and a winter hackathon. And that's, again, a really creative process. But they're looking at the need knowers, the people who have the challenge coming forward. And we learn more and more about you should have a design that's built to solve the problem of the person. You should work with the person, have person-centered, people-centered design. And that's some of the most exciting stuff. And even 2 a.m, I was awake, but I didn't quite go to it. There was the launch of a global inclusive innovation network globally around this. So this is part of a bigger global movement of makeathons and makers and hacker spaces that are people who want to pull things apart, put them back together again with a different angle. Tom Melbourne is Tilam Occam Makers, which is from Israel to Australia. So there's a real global movement that Melbourne is very active in. It's been something that we've been really excited with the Diff, and we've had the Tom Melbourne team, and Rock is on tonight. I'll be going along to that because, I was writing a book about, actually I'm still writing a book about hacking for good when I have time, but it is that
to the bad guys in cyberspace and say hack for good.
Yes, that's right. It's hacking for good, because a hacker is somebody who you've got, yes, the cybersecurity side of it and the thoughts there, but again, it's the problem solving side, right? The mind hack. I say I'm an ideas hacker, so I want to go in, pull it apart and reconfigure it to come up with a new solution. That's innovation. Yeah. So it's when you apply things to different contexts. And if you've got a team of people who are, somebody who's looking at assistive technologies. Yep. So the ability to communicate through voice activated software, all of these different assistive technologies are just amazing. And as I said, my brother is online at the moment, and he's in lockdown like all of us. And he usually goes to a program with Urella and Onemda to Eastern Suburb area. And because he's not been able to, but they're now running their services online. And so he still gets to see all of his friends that he's usually going to hang out with, but he's getting to do it on the iPad now. Now, I would never have thought that that was a way that he would be able to engage, but he loves it. And I'm sure he's, very happy to hear about this and hear me talking about him, because again, it's this immediate interaction that is just, mind-blowing, but also very much human, right? The technology is only there to deliver what we need as humans, and we shape technology and we have to keep shaping it. And that's a whole other conversation we'll have another time. But humans do create the technology. And even on our cybersecurity debate, the opening debate, which is worse, which is a high risk, people or technology? And it's a matter of, well, both, and they've got to have the, but people make technology, but the technology, still sits within a societal construct.
Very interdependent relationship, that's something I've always sort of firmly believed, is like, even conversations about the future of work and an apparent robot apocalypse, I've always been of the firm belief, yes, robotics and such are going to become more commonplace, but at the end of the day, we as humans have to forfeit particular tasks to actually allow them to step in. So it won't be the robots in control, so long as, your point, we continue to shape technology and ensure it's improving quality of life. Luke, I can tell you want to say something.
No, I was going to ask Kelly, for those who are interested in doing something with the Diff, didn't make it this time, but want to engage, what do they have to do? Let's get that message out to them. What do they do?
Look, I mean, the Diff is a platform that's open 24/7, 365. Is that how many days there are in a year? I always get it wrong. Whereby we're just trying to showcase the great activities that are happening across Victoria. So we've got a very active meetup scene. We've got lots of different researchers presenting their research. And so whether that's a live event, and I call a Diff live event, is at a set time and a set date, and a place, which is predominantly online these days. But then there's Diff on demand, which would be, it's a recording like our videos now. People can view them on YouTube or on Diff on demand. And it means that you're able to consume that information wherever you are for however long you have to do it. So the idea of Diff is that it's amplifying and showcasing the amazing stuff that's happening that I get to see, because in my area of liking to cross over different sectors and those different areas, that's where we're bringing forth and showcasing. But then there's also people coming on and showcasing their own. So I know that, there are other shows that the Reboot Show has. So they're available on demand. So, by hearing us today talking about the Diff and the Reboot Show and Big Mouth, I've also done a series of events around technology and the opportunities that it delivers to, marketing and events area, which is huge. That's where we're seeing, it's really able to just come along to the site. It's the Diff Online Event Hub. You create a user account and you can shortlist and love lots of different things. And then that means when you come back again, you can then look at your own playlist and just enjoy.
And anyone can get involved. You can be a big corporate, or you could be just a small one-person outfit. You can all come and get involved.
Absolutely. And it is that thing of that we've got the categories of, whether you're an entrepreneur and startup, or business and industry, or a researcher in education, or you're interested in digital inclusion or emerging tech or future jobs. Those categories exist so that it can help you navigate. And when you come to the site, you just click on those icons. Now, things, of course, fit into multiple of those categories. So, but you can also do keyword searches. And I love it because cybersecurity is obviously big, and it's something that we as our team in the department are looking at to make sure that we've got a vibrant tech sector that supports and makes a safe, inclusive digital economy, is you can just put a search word of cyber and it'll pull every cyber related event, whether it's live or on demand. And then if you've got your user account, you can save that as an alert. And the alert, because the world does need more alerts, the alert will turn up in your mailbox. And that's, again, only going to send you the information you're interested in around the keyword that matters to you. So if you're into e-health or health, that's what you do.
Fantastic, Kelly. Great initiative. And Sally, what download have we got today?
Yes. So, as a part of the Diff Daily Download series powered by Big Mouth, alongside the Diff 2021 Festival, we are releasing a special ebook every single day. For those of you who have been tuning in, you'll know that very well. Today's ebook is quite interesting, actually, and sort of links into some of the stuff we've been discussing. It's focused on automating data collection, particularly when it comes to industrial Internet of Things. So, Luke, I'm going to hand over to you. What can people expect? What's exciting about this ebook?
You know, I just love a good ebook, and we've had some great ebooks in the last few days, or over the whole course of the Diff, to be a matter of fact. But when you talk about industrializing IoT, you know, this is fascinating. All these sensors and all these devices we've got right across the community attached to all this infrastructure, there's an opportunity for that to be smarter than ever now, particularly with 5G coming out. And as you know, 6G and beyond, God knows what 8G is going to look like. But basically, what happens here is all these devices connect in, and how do you get the data and information from them in a meaningful way? You're going to get then insights into predictive analytics about, you know, do I need to make some repairs? Is this piece of infrastructure needing to be replaced? Is this piece of infrastructure giving me information that may be useful to other areas of government or other areas of the community, or for people to access so that they can get real live feeds? So this is a fascinating look at what you can do now. And this ebook really just spells out some really key things about how you may go about doing that.
And I think,
it's great.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Luke, but just sort of tying this back to the conversation we were having about the importance of digital inclusion. I mean, surely there is so much scope for IoT and the sort of emergence of IoT at greater scale with more sensors, devices, etc., to be able to support us and I suppose give us more inclusive solutions, you know, for say settings in the home, you know, for people who potentially have challenges around accessibility.
I'm glad you raised. Look, Sally, that was the ebook we produced the other day and put out, which is the Independent Living Options ebook. That is a great read for people interested in how technology is looking at improving the lives and livelihoods of people with disabilities and aged in their own homes. So the key thing here is, you know, people want to be in their own homes, in their own space, living the best life that they can live. And if we can help with technology enabling that through sensors and through device management and through capability that looks, you know, did you forget to turn the stove off? Did the door not open when we know you were out of bed because the sensor told us you got out of bed, but you didn't open the door yet? Like, you know, and all these things are alarmed and monitored. That just means that people can live a much more self-assured life and do the things that they want to do. And so in my mind, this is where technology is doing things for the betterment of people. You know my feelings on this. It's like yours and Kelly's. People are at the forefront of technology. They should be the thing, you know, the main aim of our research and our mission with technology should be about improving the lives and livelihood of people, making it a better existence. And I think what technology can do for people with disability right around the world is going to be a huge advancement over the next 12 to 24 months, particularly as we see, you know, I'm going to get all techie here, but as soon as we see the 5mm wave 5G come into operation, come on telcos, roll it out, come on government, roll it out. That's going to be such a huge improvement to people's lives.
I can see on a 5G note to get excited for a moment, and I'm mindful of time, but I saw the 5G little things start coming up on my phone the other day. So there's a 5G module. I don't think it's a standalone tower, but there's a 5G module somewhere in my area, which is great. We're getting there.
You would have a 5G phone. I'm still back on 4G.
Yes. Well, I wanted to pick up and just say something that's coming up next week, that if you were interested in IoT and industrial applications of technology, is that there is a brand new Centre for Industrial AI Research and Innovation happening, the launch of that next week, CIARI, over at RMIT. And it is just, you know, it's absolutely looking at all of these things about building our research and innovative applications of AI, but robustly looking at things like smart cities and transportation and infrastructure, but that health and energy, energy consumption, massive areas of potential. And it's that predictive analytics that, and the digital health space, all of these elements are really very exciting. And by having, these advances, we were talking about quantum computing the other day, right? The advances in power and the availability of the data, because we've got so many sensors. And it's not just, about the personalized of the Fitbit or the smartwatch that tells me, woohoo, you stood up again. It really is this industrial and the house interface, and there's just so many interesting ways, and that machine learning is learning from our behavior, learning from our repeated activity. And as you said there, the automation, robotics is a lot to do with automation, so again, we guide it, that the developers guide what the coding says to do, right? And machines learn, but they're learning from the predominant, which is why we need to look at ethics about, are we not going to make sure that we increase bias that's already there, right?
Yeah.
Because if the data is predominantly, like, it's the thing about buildings, right? So, and like engineering for cars, there's the 40-year-old or 35-year-old male, 5'9", white Caucasian. That's the body by which everything is designed around. The standard of what a building's air temperature should be. And men and women have different comfort levels as far as temperature. And now we're going to move into, well, we've all been working at home, and now how are we going to have, environments that need to shift and change, and really big challenges that we need to look at, and analysis of use of space, use of air, all of these types of things. And Dr. Genevieve Bell, she's fascinated by elevators, by this technology that is, and she thinks through this thing. And, she's a leading, world-leading researcher on this up at ANU. But, this new centre in Melbourne, I'm pretty excited about, RMIT being a graduate of this actual faculty, the Faculty of Business and Law, so very exciting. And that's on next Tuesday night from 5 till 6:30. So it's a really great opportunity, because, how would you know where to turn up in RMIT to find which centre? You get to do it online, you get to hear about the latest researches, and then think, wow. And then you can contact them on LinkedIn or through social media. And the immediacy of being able to find out about new inventions, find out about new ways of thinking. And as they've said, that they've got industry partners and some very friendly robots that will be there as part of the event.
I'm loving this. This sounds great, and congratulations to RMIT. And I look forward to hearing more about that. That's fantastic.
And I certainly get excited about conversations relating to, modernization, advancement of infrastructure. How can we get more tech savvy? And I think it's certainly going to be something that is discussed a lot more moving into the future, as the pandemic has really challenged most of our mental models about how we use infrastructure, et cetera. I am mindful of time, but thank you very much to Kelly Hutchinson from Digital Innovation Futures Victoria for joining us today. And of course, our resident technology panelist, Luke Stowe. We will be back again tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for the 8th segment of the Diff Daily Download series. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Subscribe.
Bye.